Okay, quiet in the studio. All right, here we go. So much has been happening this week. We're going to talk about it tonight. Here we go. Well, good evening. Let's get straight into things. Say hello, Gazelle, the man who's standing for reform in Warrington North.
Good evening, everybody, and well, what a whirlwind this last few days has been.
Indeed, especially with announcements that came out today from Reform, but we'll talk about that later. And we have that fabulous man, the man who has the facts and is the fact checker. Obviously, the man from Reform beats me, doesn't he, Stats?
No comment.
Very wise, Stats, very wise.
I'm doing a Keir Starmer here. I'm sitting on the fence.
Very wise.
Now, hang on, you forgot to say the man who isn't standing in an election and feels a bit left out this year.
Oh, yes, indeed. Never mind. Well, I tell you, I've been absolutely flabbergasted with the amount of news that has been bombarding. I mean, it's far more interesting than, a roundup. So I'm just going to get straight into it. Who watched that rally in London on June the 1st? Who watched it? I did. I saw it.
Yeah. Wasn't that a rally and a little bit?
Oh.
I'd say it was more than a rally, but we'll get into that, eh?
Yeah, well, okay. So I thought it was much bigger than what Richard Tice did last time around. And I don't mean to be knocking your party, Trevor. But
no, that's fine.
It was big.
It was a massive rally. I mean, in anybody of our age group that actually knows, it was even bigger than the chopper was in the 70s. And about rallies and choppers and things. Penny farthings.
We remember I had a chopper. We were rich enough to get one.
I've still got one. I'll just have you know.
Yeah, but we don't want to know about your chopper. Thank you very much.
Well, that's my OnlyFans page again, but we'll leave that for now.
Anyway.
Yeah, you were talking about the size. I mean, Hope Not Hate said there was a couple of thousand, but the police have actually said it was more like 10 times that. So I reckon roughly 30 or 40.
Even at worst, 20,000. There was a lot of people there. And there were only 2 arrests on the day. Doesn't that demonstrate?
Super.
Doesn't that demonstrate what nice people British patriots are? There were families there. There were children there. It was a great event. And there was, the usual suspects. You had Tommy, you had Mr. Fox, you had Mayor there, Mayor Tusi. And, it was just a nice event. And to hear some real traditional music coming across, like Rule Britannia, was just phenomenal. To see so many British flags there was just great. Mark, go ahead.
It was more of a celebration, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think more, just give people a voice back, feel proud. I think we'll run through the whole point of it. I mean, originally it was going to be about two-tier policing. It was going to be a documentary by Tom Robinson.
And they did play the documentary, didn't they?
He did. I think it evolved then into a bigger picture of lawfare, basically, being used against the public. But as I say, it ended up being about a lot of things, and ultimately it was the totalitarian state.
Yeah.
So obviously it was about free speech, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly. As I said, people needed a voice. But it's also about building a movement for a lot of people, a massive chunk of society who really aren't happy with our failed politicians.
That silent majority. Majority.
Yeah.
He did a perfect job. He attracted them.
He did, and definitely there's a huge swathe of people who are now also really concerned about the way this country's heading. And most of us now are politically homeless, and a lot of people have been persecuted by the state. So I think this was the point of it, really. It kind of evolved from just Tommy's treatment and his original documentary into something a bit bigger.
Well, I think what he did on that day was something quite amazing. He beat the system. Because
Massively.
you consider the way that the Metropolitan Police treated him in the last time out, where they arrested him, they maced him, he went to court and he beat them. Now, we haven't heard anything about any retribution against the Metropolitan Police, but my feeling is...
Who is coming?
My feeling is that on that day, because Tommy did thank the Metropolitan Police, because the policing was, in actual fact, what we would normally expect the police to do. Not when you have the Palestinian protests out. They're starting to get quite vicious with them. But on this protest, where were the police? You could hardly see them, and there was no trouble. None whatsoever. And yet, all the mainstream, and I'm going to bring you back in on this, Mark, and Trevor will agree with me on this, all the mainstream were labeling them thugs. I just couldn't believe it. Or I should be calling them the lamestream, really. But they were labeling them as thugs and far right. And you couldn't be farther from the truth. These are just people who are concerned with the way that their country is going. Go ahead, Mark.
You know, the problem with the media is they follow the police's line. Now, the police have done this before. I've been on events where the police have given a false narrative to the events, and the media will just print it. And I had this with the BBC a long time ago, and I was speaking to one of the editors from the BBC Northwest, and he basically admitted to me in an email, which I still got, that he just printed whatever the police told him. And then he realised it was incorrect, but he refused to apologise. He said maybe the words we used weren't quite appropriate. No, you labelled everyone in a protest or a rally or an event as something they weren't to give them a bad name. But I'm just looking at what this protest actually proved.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know, and we've said this for 3 or 4 years now.
That's right.
We are in a totalitarian state.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you can deny it if you want, but I mean, we'll just look. And Tommy has described it in a totalitarian. It's that word again.
Totalitarian.
In a totalitarian state, the state decides which ideas are correct.
Yeah.
Just look at the lockdowns, the jabs, immigration, religions that clash with our culture. Speak out against them, and you'll see what happens. You'll find out they're the wrong ideas.
Not anymore.
Uses its power to create an official ideology. Well, what can that be? This twisted version of British values, which is now including multiculturalism.
No.
This extreme liberalism where it's gender and race-obsessed communist stuff as well. The globalisation, go against that, you pay the price. And dissent is treated like resistance. Again, look how people were treated. Like I said, the lockdowns, the jabs, made second-class citizens, cancelled, called racist if you stand up to things like religions and immigration.
Yeah.
Just look at the likes of Nigel, Tommy. You've got brave medical professionals here who spoke out about what was going on during them lockdowns with the jabs. Cancelled. Assange still in jail. Teachers being sacked for being gender critical.
Ostracised.
We literally talk about this every week.
Yeah.
Institutions being under the influence of state power. I mean, we did a whole series. There was 8 to 10 parts of it where we went through every aspect of our culture and our identity, which has been attacked. So we've been explaining this for years, and then you've got the media, the judiciary, academia, banking, finance, all to retain power. We can see that with Trump in America, which we'll come on to later. And we can see here just one example, debanking.
Yeah. Well,
and the power concentrated with the elites. We can see that, can't we? So it's true, it's happening.
The Daily Mail, who I was very disappointed in, were saying that the Tommy Robinson...
disappointed as I've been.
Tommy Robinson supporters descended on central London, and they were all balaclava-clad demonstrators flying the flags of St. George. Now, Trevor, did you see anybody in balaclavas?
No. We've got a massive problem in this country with the press.
They're liars.
Well, they are liars. I mean, I have to be very careful because of the position I'm in at the moment.
Oh, yes. Yes, now, we know that with the pictures of you and Farage. Careful, careful. Yes, we know that.
Obviously, I can't say outright who I back and who I don't back, apparently, because I'm not allowed to do that. Now, as regards a march, that was a great march, a great rally. It was showing Britishness.
Yeah.
And as you all know, that I've been pulled up for showing my Britishness over the last few weeks. Well, go and get stuffed. I couldn't care less, right? So
that was over you wearing your suit, wasn't
it? Yes.
With the Union Jacks all over it.
Yeah, the Union Jacks. It goes on and on this. I mean, I've not mentioned this on our podcast yet, but I think we need to make a special of this, that I was not allowed into the House of Parliament with a Union Jack suit on. I was amazed at that.
Well, I think the Met Police are starting to rethink their strategy because on that day, they were literally nowhere to be seen. And I actually think that because they knew that they were under scrutiny and that there were so many people live streaming everything, they didn't have a millimeter to move. If they did anything, it would be streamed and it would show them up. It would show them up. Go ahead, Mark.
I think you're right. I've been on demonstrations in other cities. Manchester is a prime example. Never had any problem with the police. In fact, you could hardly see them. You'd speak to them. They're kind of more there, just making sure everything went smoothly. Not like the Met Police. So there definitely is this two-tier policing. And I think you're right. I think they were probably told just to go a bit easy, because otherwise he shows that video and they go and prove the point for the world to see. I think that was kind of the idea, but it didn't happen, which was even better. But if you look at that documentary, and I advise everybody to watch it.
Lawfare. Tell them.
Put your thoughts aside on Tommy Robinson and watch it, and then tell me, is he wrong?
No.
He's living proof of this tyranny.
Yeah.
And this documentary shows it's not just him. This is happening to so many people.
Yeah.
And he went through and he explained the totalitarian state. Again, social traditions and cultures are swept away, and the social fabric of society is weakened.
Yeah.
Well, we talk about that every week. Mass conformity replaces individualism, and freedom.
Yeah.
And the end goal, which we're probably close to in both America and England, is force to control opposition. But we've been using the police to do this, so we're getting there, aren't we?
Wouldn't it be so great if the counties of this country could actually devolve from the government, just like America, so the states are actually independent of the federal government? Go ahead, Trevor.
Yeah, I just want to state, because I know who listens to our podcast, so I just have to state for the record that I was in Warrington Town Centre campaigning on Saturday.
It's a sad state of affairs when you have to say where you...
It is a sad state of affairs, but I will just clarify that. I was in Warrington Town Centre and I have lots of witnesses.
Did you have your pointy hat on?
I had my pointy hat on. And my cloak, and I got quite a lot of response, actually.
And were you speaking in an American accent? Hey, y'all.
Hey, y'all. Come and vote
Come on
for me.
down. I'm in the town center here. Come on, boy.
Hey, y'all. Yeah, certainly did, and I really enjoyed it. We got a belting reception, and
oh yes,
yes, I can't say the rest. So I have to be very, very careful. Well, unfortunately, it's a good job we're free. We're actually free to be able to say what we want on this podcast.
Indeed. Well, the main point, I think, when the show came out about Lawfare was to prove that there was two-tiered policing in this country, and the police were desperate to actually get a viewing of the video before he screened it. And Tommy just turned around and he said, bottom line, he just said, you're not going to get a view it. And that's it. It gets screened. That's it.
I wonder what they thought was in there, because they should know what they've done.
Oh, it was damning.
Yeah, but think about this. So they know what they've openly done, which we've all recorded and it's been all over the internet. Why would they be worried about that? Is there something they've done that we don't know about that they thought we knew about? No one's thought of that, have they?
And he coupled the day with to make Mark Rowley resign, the head of the Met.
It's about time, isn't it?
Yeah, he's got to go. He comes from an academic side of policing. He's not a Bobby in the real sense. He's an academic Bobby. And, he's woke. There is no two ways about it. So Starmer, I'm absolutely certain, is going to get rid of him.
Can you imagine him? Did he chase criminals down the street when he was like a Bobby on the beat?
No.
And wrestle them to the ground?
No.
Rowley.
Not a chance. That guy couldn't even wrestle a linguine.
I reckon he'd probably lose a fight. He'd probably lose a fight to Keir Starmer, and that's saying something.
Oh God! Yeah. Have you seen the way that guy punches? That is just
no, they're not punches, John.
They're like sort of wafting air towards the bag. Why isn't it moving?
I still insist that I still say, when are they going to learn their lesson? They put in Cressida Dick,
yeah,
because basically she ticked all the political boxes. And they put in Mr. Roly-Poly, and because he, again, just ticks the boxes. When are they going to realise? And one of Reform's policies, which I've mentioned before, is that, they'll certainly give people interviews that are retiring, coming out of the army, that have had a life's situation where they've been dealing with discipline, they've been dealing with management, people management, whatever you want to do it, but say it politically correct. And when are we going to get people like that? People that are fit for the job, not fit for ticking boxes. Yeah.
This DEI has got a lot to be said for. Go ahead, Mark.
Never mind putting the kids through national service. Do you know who needs to go through it? These politicians. That'll sort them out, wouldn't it? Aye. They might come out like adults then, rather than adult babies, because that's how they all act.
Well,
let's face it.
Oh, yeah. In sum up, what he achieved was something good. It awoken the sleeping giant. And I should imagine that at the next meeting, what is it? Is it the 27th of July?
I think so, yeah.
Whatever it is, look out for it. I think that there are going to be more people there. Now, that should send a shiver down everybody's spine in Parliament, because they're beginning to realize people are unhappy with them. They're unhappy. They don't want to settle for what these people are saying that you can have and what you can't have. They've had enough, and I think they're actually going to rue the day that they actually kept on forsaking the true British people. Final word, Mark.
Yeah, it's about time. Yeah, it's about time all like-minded people who want to fix this mess came together now and just put any differences out the way.
Yep, absolutely.
We're going to be stronger together. We're going to have a better chance.
Look, we can sort this out. That's what Parliament do not want. That's government do not want. They do not want you together.
No. Together we're stronger. And we can have all your little arguments afterwards once it's all sorted. But I think country first.
Everything
else second.
No usurping of our culture, our values, our religion. Had enough of that crap. None of it. And as far as I'm concerned, it kind of pisses me off when I hear people like Khan. And did you notice that Khan was nowhere to be seen on the day?
Maybe that helped.
Indeed. But he's going to build 43,000 houses for Muslims?
Of course he is.
No, that isn't going to happen. That's called discrimination. And I pretty much guess that when Starmer takes control, because it is going to happen, Starmageddon is going to win through. When that happens, I think he's going to start to put Khan in a box, because they've opened up a real divide between indigenous Brits and Muslims who support Islam in this country. And as far as I'm concerned, it was brought up by Lawrence Fox and it was brought up by others. It has to stop. We're not going to have the Islamification of the United Kingdom. It isn't going to happen. And that's it. Go ahead, Mark.
We also need to fix this totalitarian state.
Well, they've been aiding and abetting them.
Well, I don't think we're quite at the final stage yet. Well, violence and assassination is where it ends up.
Indeed.
And we've seen glimmers of that in America.
In America,
politicians have been shot. And
you saw it with Stalin. You've seen it with Putin. You don't want it. It's as simple as that. This country...
I certainly don't want. I don't want anything to do with totalitarianism or whatever it is, because I don't eat Italian food. And basically, I've no intentions of starting neither.
Okay, well, there it is. That's end of part 1. And in part 2, we're going to be talking about Donald Trump. Everybody's going to think, oh, we're so far right. We're so far right. We're right so far. That's what the thing is all about.
Rock and roll, baby.
Rock and roll.
It's a cool question, isn't it? Is that you, Trump? No, it's the dog.
It was the dog that did it.